Someone once said, "You're going to lose yourself from time to time. Come back. Come back to what your heart knows. No matter how long you've been gone, come back." We all lose ourselves from time to time, and maybe it's that life has just thrown so many things your way that you've just had to survive. And you no longer know how to live as who you are, how to experience life as who you are, how to come back to yourself. But really, this episode is to tell you that you can. You can come back to yourself. You can find yourself. Because before you find anything else in this world, you have to find yourself.
Hello everyone and welcome to Tea Sundays. My name is Thanduluhle Kumalo and today I'm with my friend Bongiwe Sindane. Bongiwe Sindane is a dynamic young woman who, amongst many other things, grew up in various countries and has had some political influence in her life. She is currently a second-year candidate attorney in what people term one of the top 5 law firms. On her way to being a legal practitioner, in particular an attorney, she is a dynamic individual who has very pan-Africanist ideals and I would say is very intelligent. I could think of no one better to discuss the topic of finding yourself with because I believe in the past year, Bongi and I have had the pleasure of watching each other grow and being a part of influencing each other's growth. And I believe that young solutions, or young problems rather, should be solved by young people. So here to discuss finding yourself as a young person is Bongiwe Sindane. Bongi, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, Tanya, thank you for that wonderful introduction. You really did a good job there. And I think you described me pretty well. I enjoyed that you highlighted my Pan-Africanist traits. And, you did touch on my background a bit, but obviously that, we'll unpack the detail on the next episode. I'm joking, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be invited again.
She definitely will be invited.
But yes. So yes, I'm very Pan-African, very pro anything that is African. I am, a lover of people, all people, especially African people. I'm playing. I love everybody. And just fun. And loving, and I just try to make people happy as I gain a lot of happiness from being around people, and just family oriented, and just trying to be a positive and happy and optimistic person. That's just who I am. That's what I believe. Those are my ideals, and grounded mainly. And Tando's been a great part of my journey, so I'm thankful for that too.
I'm thankful for you being a part of my journey. So, you and your family, who you mentioned as being part of who you are, grew up in, certain countries. How has that influenced who you've become?
I think, growing up in different countries, not even many, just 2, being China and the Ivory Coast, I think helped give me a lot of perspective on really appreciating what I have here at home in South Africa and in Africa. I think, if I'm to touch on being in the Ivory Coast, it made me appreciate what we have in South Africa, but it also made me love Africa more and love Africanness more and the sense of Ubuntu and who we are as a people, and not trying to only focus primarily on what's been done to us as a people and what's been done to our continent, but also remembering who we were before all that damage was done and remembering who we're going to be, and being proud with who we are. So that's the main perspective and the main thing that I got from being in the Ivory Coast and being in South Africa, because I actually grew up in SA most of my life actually. And then China, being in China made me understand what we can do, the potential that we have, but we haven't tapped into as Africans because, we've just been blocked off of believing that we're that we can be better, or we can achieve or do better than what we've been doing. So I think that's what I gained from being in China. But I also enjoyed, the cultural elements and the heritage that China has, and how they embrace their identity as the Chinese, how they're proud of it. And I think that's one thing we need to take as Africans, in terms of embracing who we are, embracing how we look, embracing how we feel about ourselves, embracing our culture, our languages. So that's one thing I enjoyed about being there. So that's the perspective I gained from being in China. And they're very giving, and they love each other as Chinese people. So I also try to ensure that I try to embrace African people around me, and not, encourage division between us when we're exactly the same. So I think that answers the question.
Influence, yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So you've spoken about how yourself you relate to Africans, and how those influences have shaped who you are. But now let's talk about you in your own individual space. Would you say you know who you are?
I would say that I am finding out who I am. I don't think I have an answer as to who I am, but I'm happy with the pace in which I am learning who I am and finding out who I am, And, in finding yourself, you need to be comfortable with your thoughts, being able to kind of assess different people's thoughts and forming your own opinions, I think is, fundamental to finding yourself, setting a timeline, not comparing your life to anybody else's life.
Speaking of a timeline,
Yeah.
when did the journey to finding yourself begin? And would you wish that you had started it earlier?
Yeah. I think the journey to finding myself has always been, taking place. But I think, as
Consciously.
Yeah, like in terms of making a conscious decision in in saying that, okay, this is what I'm going to do to find. I don't even think there's certain things that you can really do to find yourself. I can't be like, I'm taking a course to finding myself. But now it's more like I'm trying to ensure that in whatever spaces that I go to, I grow. And ultimately growth enables me finding and tapping into other parts of myself. So I think as a younger person, I wasn't deliberate about that, and I think as an adult, as a young adult, I'm more deliberate in finding and putting myself in spaces where I will grow, and that will enable me, tapping into myself and finding, other parts of myself that I'd never known to exist before.
But wouldn't you say that is doing something?
Yeah, hence I'm saying that's what I've done now as a young adult.
Okay.
So I've always been finding myself, because we're always finding ourselves as we grow and growing, But as a young adult, you're just more deliberate and more conscious, like you were saying, about finding yourself. And yeah.
Okay, so in being deliberate about finding yourself, some people say finding yourself is about becoming, some say it's about unbecoming. What are you being deliberate about? Becoming, unbecoming, or both?
I think it's more becoming, but there are unbecoming elements as well, because there are things that I want to better, in my life, in the way I do things, in the way I see things.
Make an example.
In terms of unbecoming.
Anyone, in the way that you do things, in the way that you see things, what are you changing?
Okay, in the unbecoming sense.
Okay, either one.
Yeah, it's just, I think I was enjoying the word unbecoming.
Yeah,
is that the right word?
it is.
Okay.
Unbecoming, becoming.
Unbecoming.
It is unbecoming.
We need a dictionary.
It wouldn't be not becoming. It's unbecoming.
It's unnice. No, unbecoming there's unbecoming means unnice.
No, not nice.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Not nice, but like guys, English. Okay.
Yeah, unbecoming.
That's very unbecoming behavior of you. That's how they say unbecoming.
Yes.
That's the context.
Yes, but it can also be unbecoming things that you had become.
Yes, that's us now manipulating the English.
Let us get back to the topic of finding yourself. What would you say you are specifically doing to
unbecome certain things?
Yes.
And I really had a great answer, but now I'm so fixated on this unbecoming word. But to answer the question,
with this
To answer
great
the question.
answer.
But something that is not really to that magnitude, but something just came to me again, in terms of unbecoming. Can we pause?
In terms of unbecoming. In terms of unbecoming, I'm listening.
Okay, I think what I want to unbecome is less unsure of myself, less unsure of my thoughts, less unsure of my decisions. I want to trust in every decision that I make. I want to trust in, I'm not saying I'm perfect. So one always needs to be open to hearing other people's ideas, but I think in the past I've definitely been more on the unsure and more doubtful of what I believe and what I think is the right thing. So I think that's one thing I want to change and become.
Why is finding yourself so important to you?
Because I think I can touch more lives when I found myself. It's kind of like when they say, when you find love, it's only when you really love yourself holistically can you love another person. It's like two wholes coming together. Like two whole people coming together. So I think even with finding yourself, if I'm more sure about my thoughts and my ideas and what I want and what I like and and who I am and all these things, I think when engaging with people, I can touch them more because I know who I am.
And you contribute more effectively
Yeah.
to the spaces that you're
Yeah,
in.
because you know what you're bringing to the room, or to the table. Yeah.
So Lupita Nyong'o recently went on a retreat, right, where she was basically had to be silent for 10 days, and check in her phone, everything, Would you ever consider doing something like that? And the reason why I ask that is because some people have the idea or the notion that finding yourself means completely extracting yourself from society. And it's the whole eat, pray, love journey, go on a journey with yourself. Whereas some people believe that you can find yourself while living your life, while being with someone. What do you think, and would you advise that works for you in terms of, are you the eat, pray, love person, or are you like the, no, I can still live life and find myself?
Yeah. I think I'm the eat, pray, love person, to be honest. Like, I would love to do something like that. It's just, the time, opportunities, and you actually have to, that's the main
Shakuru.
thing. Yeah, that actually is the main, you can do it. If you really want something, you can actually do it.
Yes.
And I plan on doing it. I really hope to do it one day, because I think it's something I genuinely want to do and would encourage people to do if they also mess with that type of thing, But I think you can also find yourself. How many people have found themselves or have, touched lives and been sure about themselves and understood themselves and been deliberate in the way they choose to live their lives without going on any retreat, so I think it's each to their own. But having also looked into that idea of taking a spiritual journey and just kind of removing yourself from influences, because unfortunately we do live in a world where you're influenced by everything you see and read and hear. So sometimes it's not as easy to kind of you say, okay, this is what I believe in, without being in, it's okay to be influenced by things. We ultimately are what we hear, eat, and whatever, we are what we are exposed to, essentially. But then you need to kind of expose yourself to a lot and then decipher between all that information and decide what you want to hear. And sometimes it's only once you've kind of escaped from that noise and kind of found the principles and the core beliefs that you have as a person, and then choose what you want to expose yourself to, or what, you know what I'm saying?
I get you. It's only through experiencing life and experiencing different aspects of life that you then figure out what it is that you want and what speaks to you, and ultimately finding yourself. So if a young person, around about your age, which you don't want me to mention, just says to you, okay, Bongi, I don't know who I am. I don't know how to find myself. Like, you are in a more privileged situation where you are, in corporate South Africa, career trajectory is looking good. Some people are still like, I don't even know, like, where I'm gonna find a job. Never mind taking time to find myself. What would you like say to that person?
So like, can you repeat the question? Can we edit that part where you repeat the question?
So, if there was a young person in South Africa right now who's like, okay, Bongi, I don't even know the first step to finding myself, and as a young person, do I even need to find myself? Isn't that something I should be doing at a later stage? And they're like, right now I'm just looking to find a job, or I'm looking to just make it to the next day. Why would you advise that person that finding yourself is important, or would you even advise that? Like, what would
I think I'd ask them, okay, do you know who you are right now? I think sometimes you also need to be like, okay, where am I right now? Who am I right now? What do I believe in right now? I think that would be the first step. And then secondly, do you know what you want? Like, what do you want from this life thing? Where do you see yourself? What's important to you ultimately? And then I think in deciding that and coming to that conclusion, because I can't tell you how to come to that conclusion. Then I think I would say expose yourself to the right people. Read the right things if you have those resources, because also I'm talking to a person who might not even have access to any of this information. But we don't even necessarily have to, like, can I speak in vernacular?
Speak in vernacular. In South Africa. This South Africa.
But I think ultimately reflect on who you are, reflect on what life has done for you, reflect on where you are right now in life, then reflect and then start deciding on where you want to ultimately be. Then I think do what you can, all that is in your power to get to where you want to be. Talk to the right people. You might not have the means to go to an exclusive books and read about cooking. You know what I'm saying? If your ultimate goal is to be a chef. But start being creative about maybe the type of dishes that are prepared by the local mamas, ekas, or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Be creative about how you want to get to where you want to be, and just be deliberate, be disciplined, be intentional, be clear. Then I think ultimately you'll find yourself in that journey.
I love that. Do you think finding yourself is ever a destination? Or do you think it's an ongoing process?
I think it's an ongoing process. But what do you think? Like, do you think you get to a point in life where you're like, okay, now I'm comfortable with like who I am, but then like you're just unpacking different sides to you? Or you just continuous? Do you think like a John Kani is still finding himself?
I think he is. I don't know. Actually, you're Bab John.
Yeah.
Bab John. I don't know about Bab John. But, I think as a successful person and as a person in life, you constantly have to work at finding yourself. And I think finding yourself really is just a journey. And I think it's at every point it's working to be the highest version of yourself. So you're constantly moving through different points in life until you die. So I think the journey really is, when I'm at this point in my life or this chapter of my life, I need to be at the highest version of me. And then when I move to the next point of my life, there is something I'm going to need to find about myself, something I'm going to need to improve, something I'm going to need to work on.
Because we actually don't even know what kind of situations we're going to find ourselves in.
Exactly.
Sometimes you could literally be at the bottom of the bottom.
Yeah.
But if you kind of have a sense of self,
Yeah.
That's how you actually find the light at the end of the tunnel.
That's true.
So it's not even like finding yourself with an upward trajectory. It's all over the place.
Exactly. Can you imagine like how much we've changed?
Yeah.
Within the space of like a year.
And it's because of the ups and downs that we had to go through.
Exactly.
For us to kind of reach a kind of balanced place. But even where we are right now and all the ups and downs that we've gone through, aren't even close to what we're probably still going to go through.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just the beauty and pain of life.
Yeah, but we're constantly working at being the most highest potential of ourselves.
Yeah, and
So-
and that'll also like enable you to deal with any kind of situation that you are faced with.
I agree.
You know?
I agree. So we've said a lot. We have spoken a lot.
Are we done?
Yes. My final question to you is, what do you want people to remember from this? I mean, you're gonna be back. Don't be sad. Aww. Okay.
Yeah. Can we pause?
No. What would you like? What is the final thing that you want people to remember from this?
That you're doing okay. That you're doing okay. That you can be better, but you're doing okay. I think always take some time out and smell the roses, you know. Always look back, you know. You might not be where you want to be and where you have been, but you're doing okay to get to where you want to be if you trust in yourself and trust in the people around you. But we're going to retake this because there's something profound I said in the other video, but I forgot it now.
I think this is very powerful. And I think that's beautiful to say you're doing okay. And in summary, we're all trying, you know. But we are constantly working towards finding ourselves. There's this beautiful Gatsby quote. I just forgot it. But in the next interview, I will remember my quotations. And lastly, I just want to thank you, Bongi, for being here.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I appreciate your light. I appreciate your positivity. I appreciate that when I'm around you, I am very happy. And I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate that you are constantly making an effort to brighten people's lives and investing effort in that. So, catch us next time on the next one. I'm definitely going to invite her back. And thank you guys. Please hit subscribe on the button below and follow me on Instagram, Facebook. Their pages are up and it's called Tea Sunday.